There is a new effort to have more affordable housing in Black Mountain and Swannanoa. News 13's Anjali Patel shows us the new task force. It plans to tackle the issue in the hopes of addressing another ongoing crisis: staffing.
The executive director of the Black Mountain Swannanoa Chamber of Commerce says they haven't really done work in the affordable housing space before, but the problem has gotten so severe here, they wanted to see what they could do to help. Tourism is the Black Mountain and Swannanoa area's bread and butter.
Good morning. Black Mountain has been traditionally over 100 years tourism-based, and that's what we depend on.
But Sharon Tabor also wants to ensure it's an ideal place to live and work. But when she checked on Saturday, there were 5 houses to rent in Black Mountain and 397 job openings.
The average price of those 5 rental properties was $2,885. So when the average employee is making less than $40,000 a year, that's between 50 to 70% of their pay. You can't live on that.
She says many who work in town live elsewhere, even as far as Rutherford and McDowell County.
Half of our town employees live outside of the county. And so it's not just with the town government, it's with many of our businesses.
That's why she's spearheading a newly formed task force that's looking at various properties for a potential affordable housing project.
We've got a request in for the county ARPA funds. We've been talking to Dogwood Trust.
Partners in the effort include the town government and the Black Mountain Rotary Club, as well as Swannanoa Valley Christian Ministry.
It's sad and it's hard. Heart-wrenching stories we hear, and just the desperation.
The Crisis Ministry hoping this effort will help its struggling clients.
We're looking for a property here in town that is either on the bus lines, but also just within walking distance to pretty much every business in town.
Aiming to make Black Mountain as livable for locals as it is hospitable to tourists. Now, this is all in the very early stages, so they don't have an exact timeline yet as to when this all might come to fruition.
Leaders of the Buncombe County Rescue Squad quit amid financial concerns for the supplemental ambulance service.
The squad has served as an additional resource for emergency calls. News 13's Kimberly King reports on why the people leaving are concerned for the community.
The team, we're told, is one of only 13 rescue squads across the state not funded by taxpayer money or county funds, but actually by contracts and donations, only able to survive by securing contracts. But in recent years, we're told staffing, finances, and turnover at the top have plagued the unit that's led to a crisis still unfolding tonight. Multiple ambulances sat inside Buncombe Rescue Squad station in West Asheville as members of the nonprofit board running it met inside. 2 EMTs tell News 13 that 14 EMTs quit yesterday and Tuesday, including 5 paramedics, 3 advanced EMTs, and 6 basic EMTs. An additional 6 staffers, they say, quit last week. Their concern, depleted operating funds and no contracts with funds coming in. A source tells News 13 the chief and deputy chief also quit this week over concerns that the board was pressuring them to keep EMTs working, even though there were serious concerns there were no funds to pay them. A source telling News 13 the squad doesn't even have $19,000 to run a single ambulance and respond for a month at a basic level. News 13 reviewed 3 years of available nonprofit tax filings for the rescue squad. The forms show it operated at a loss of $101,000 in 2016 and by 2019 was still operating in the red at a negative $127,000. Tax forms show $979,000 in operation costs with salaries of $618,000 making up the bulk of expenses. The forms show assets of over $1 million, but the return is from 3 years ago. Later filings not found. An EMT telling News 13 the ambulance housed at the West Asheville station was no longer running will put more strain on Buncombe County EMS and other agencies that will have to come from a farther distance to respond to an emergency. A spokeswoman for Buncombe EMS said the county will make sure the communities continue to have ambulance coverage. The chairman of the board that runs the nonprofit, William Nail, spoke to me off camera but indicated he could not officially comment, but he did indicate that there was in fact money to make payroll. He seemed to say that a statement would be coming out in the next several days.
And now we want to get back to that breaking news, to that officer-involved shooting off McKeever Street in Darlington County. That's where we find ABC 15's Tanya Brown. She's been out there this afternoon at the scene since this first happened. So, Tanya, what can you tell us? What's going on there now?
Jennifer, as you can see behind me, deputies and state police, well, they are still on scene. They have been here investigating since around noon today. Several community members tell me they saw and heard what happened. One of them shared cell phone video with me. You're looking at cell phone video leading up to the deadly officer-involved shooting Thursday afternoon on McKeever Road in Darlington County. Sheriff James Hudson says deputies encountered a situation that led them to shoot and kill a man. Hudson says the shooting involved more than one deputy, but didn't say how many.
We're going to continue to let SLED work it and work through it.
Several community members say they saw a man standing in the road with a gun and officers surrounding him.
I've been living on this road here for 68 years.
WLOS works at a car mechanic shop on McKeever Road. He tells me the man that officers encountered came to his business about 30 minutes before the situation went down.
I thought he was a customer, but this he wanted to charge his phone up. Okay, so he charged the phone up, and he went walking through the car.
Ross says the man left, and about 30 minutes later, he saw deputies and the man in the middle of the road. He shared with me what he says he saw and heard.
And he pulled the gun out on the deputy chairs, and they asked him to put the gun down, but he didn't put it down. He just kept backing up, then he took off running. So they chased him down the road down there. So me and my brother was standing out in his yard, and after a while, about 15 minutes later, we heard about 10, 11 gunshots.
Sheriff Hudson hasn't released any details of the shooting. He says at this point, they'll just wait on SLED's outcome of the investigation.
What we need to do now is just kind of pray for the families of the deceased and the families of those officers that are now involved in this shooting incident. And we're going to continue to let SLED work it.
We requested dash cam video as well as 911 audio and incident reports on the shooting. We will let you know when those Freedom of Information requests are filled.